Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Danny the Cat, and welcome for another playthrough of Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons. Get back in the game, Daniel. Dragon Age Origins. Oh, I'm sorry, BioWare and EA. Nevertheless, welcome back. This is Dragon Age Origins. Very good old classic game that I love to play. We are in episode 8, and last time we finished everything that we needed to do within this town. So now we get to finally move on. Where we shall move, no one knows, but we shall find out.
Now is better than later.
Moth. Alrighty. Just throw them off somewhere. Alright, let's get the heck out of this dreary town. So you got something.
All right.
Nope. Alright, let's head out. What is this? Quartz. I'll take it all.
Why do you always go on about how stupid I am? I'm not stupid, am I?
If you need to ask the question.
Because it hurts my manly feelings, you know. Or one of them.
Then I'll be sure to write you an apology once all of this is over.
I was educated by the Chantry. I studied history. They don't make stupid Templars.
Then I must have been mistaken. I'm very impressed.
No, you're not. You're not even listening to me.
My, you are smarter than you look after all. Your Chantry must have been very proud.
Morgan, this is why I fell in love with your character first. And I think I'm going to do it again. Yep, that's right. You heard it right here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I am going to fall with Morgan. Unless if you guys have some other good reason. What's going on here? See, I see movement on that screen, not movement here.
Bad dreams, huh?
It must have been something I ate. Why are you bothering me? I'm fine.
Drank more like, as in the tainted blood, remember? You see, part of being a Grey Warden is being able to hear the Darkspawn. That's what your dream was, hearing them. The Archdemon, it talks to the Horde, and we feel it just as they do. That's why we know this is really a blight.
The Archdemon? Is that the dragon?
I don't know if it's really a dragon, but it sure looks like one. But yes, that's the Archdemon. It takes a bit, but eventually you can block the dreams out. Some of the older Grey Wardens say they can understand the Archdemon a bit, but I sure can't. Anyhow, when I heard you thrashing around, I thought I should tell you. It was scary at first for me, too.
Thank you, Alistair. I appreciate it.
That's what I'm here for. To deliver unpleasant news and witty one-liners. Anyhow, you're up now, right? Let's pull up camp and get a move on.
Did you just jump at the sight of your own shadow again? Are you harassing my dog? What? What?
Your furry friend here took offense at me getting near his food. He snapped at me, look.
There's hardly any blood drawn. Still, he shouldn't have. It was just a warning. He could have taken a hand off. Bad dog. That's not very nice. Well, he is a war dog.
Don't you think I don't know it? Sometimes I forget that he's a war dog. That'll teach me. I once heard a really old legend about how the hound warriors in the days of the old tribes would feed their Mabari the flesh of the vanquished. Well, that's what I heard anyway. It would sometimes be human flesh. Oh, like you can tell the difference. For all you know, maybe you've already been fed something. Someone.
Don't listen to Alistair. He's full of rubbish. If you've had it and didn't know it, it probably was tasty. I'd never feed you another human being.
It's not cannibalism if he's eating it, you know.
Ugh, look at what your fool dog placed in my pack. A putrid, half-eaten hare is not something a woman wants to find in her unmentionables.
It's the thought that counts. He means well. Can't be a stinker. And what normally goes... Ouch. I think he thinks you need more meat on your bones. Why doesn't he share his food with me?
Dirty mongrel can have this back. There. And tell him not to do it again.
It was a gift. You can't just throw it away like that.
I just did. I don't want it, you worthless fur bag.
I think you hurt his feelings. That dog is too smart for his own good.
Oh, he's just trying to be manipulative, I can tell. I do it too.
I kind of want to back away slowly. Fiercely into the ground at your feet. Trying to find a way through the earth, are we? Goes back to digging. It's gonna take some time, you know. Oh, don't be silly. You'll just mess up the campsite. Alright, have fun then. Well, good luck with that then. Bounces around, barking excitedly. What? What? He rolls around happily on his back. Cute little dog. He rolls around happily on his back. Cute little dog. You know, I think I have a cat. I had a cat that rolled around like that. She was cute too. Oh, what's this? Uh-oh. What do you want?
You're a hard man to find. Where are my manners? The name is Levy Dryden. Did Duncan ever mention me? Levy of the coins? Levy the trader?
I'm Dorian. I've never heard of you.
Really? He never told you of old Levy? We've known each other for years. But here I am carrying on while you have a blight to stop. Don't want to waste your time. But you see, Duncan promised that together we'd look into something important for the Wardens. And for me. But poor Duncan's... well, no more. A tragedy it is, at that. But I know he would want his work carried on. His pledge fulfilled.
What promise did Duncan make to you?
My family, well, past a bit checkered to see. Nobles look at us with disdain. My great-great-grandmother, Sophia Dryden, was the last Warden commander of Ferelden back when the Wardens were known as freeloaders. So King Arland banished the Wardens, and he took House Dryden's land and titles.
What happened next?
Hard to say. After King Arland died, there was a civil war, loads worse than this one. And our family was on the run, hunted by enemies, with nary a friend in the world. But Drydens are tough. We rebuilt, became merchants, and we never lost our pride.
I'm surprised you kept your name.
Our family's only crime was guarding the kingdom against the blight. We're not ashamed of that.
So, what favor did you ask of Duncan?
I asked for the truth. My family reveres Sophia Dryden. We know she died at the old Grey Warden base, Soldier's Peak. We want evidence to clear her name. It won't restore our land or our titles, but it'll restore our honor.
Could you just go there by yourself? I never even heard of this, of Soldier's Peak.
Well, no one's been to Soldier's Peak since Arland's days. At least none that's come back. I spent years mapping the maze of tunnels to the peak, and I found the way a few years back. So I went to Duncan, I did, and I said that he could reclaim the old base and my family could have its honor.
What do you need from me? How would reclaiming the peak help the Wardens?
Soldier's Peak is strategic and symbolic importance. Duncan said that it would be worth it right there. He also hoped to recover lost Warden history and perhaps a few old relics. No one knows what's up there now.
Your family's faith will be rewarded. I will help you.
1,000 blessings upon you, Warden. I'll mark down the location on your map. When you arrive, we'll pick our way through the tunnels together.
Ah, it's good to see you, my timely rescuer. Bodon Fennick at your service once again. I saw your camp and thought to myself, what safer place to rest for the evening than in the camp of a Grey Warden? I'm perfectly willing to offer you a fine discount for the inconvenience of our presence. How does that sound? Good? Yes?
Oh, let me see your wares. Have you been following us? What are you selling exactly? You're free to stay. Just mind yourself.
Wonderful. Thank the gentleman, won't you, boy?
Thank you, sir.
We won't be a bother to you and your companions, I assure you. If you should need enchantments, simply talk to my boy. Otherwise, come speak with me.
Oh no, I just lost my D4. Alright. So he handles enchantments, and I handle insanity. What more could go wrong?
Hello.
The boy's a bit simple, but he's rather good with enchantments. One of those tranquil fellas actually called him a... what was it now? A savant. I had no idea such a thing existed.
I want some enchanting done. I'd like to see what other goods you have. What?
He can fold lyrium into almost any weapon or piece of armor, though naturally some of the more extravagant materials will take more lyrium than others. It's a process that some of the master smiths back in Orzammar will perform, but my boy here is just as adept at it. Isn't that right, boy?
Enchantment!
And there you have it.
I want some enchanting done.
Enchantment!
Oh. Well, let's see what it can do. Ooh, quest complete. I have no idea what I just completed.
If there's anything I can do for you, please tell me.
So, what's your story exactly?
I suppose since you told me about you being a Grey Warden, it's only fitting for me to be as open. I am originally from Orzammar, the famed dwarven city that lies beneath the stately Frostback Mountains. I was a merchant there too, merchant caste. These things are in the blood, you know. You can't just leave them behind. I ran a fairly successful business. Rare artifacts, you know. Old things, grand things. The nobles loved them. Reminded them of the lost glory days, I suppose.
Why did you leave?
One day, a noble woman came to my stall. She looked around for a bit and then started shrieking in dismay. Apparently, she believed that a pair of braces I had for sale once belonged to her brother. He'd been lost in a cave-in, you see, while on an expedition to clear out the Darkspawn from one of the tunnels running close to the city. They were made specially for him. They're unique, she shrieked. He stole them from my poor brother's corpse. She had me arrested on the spot, of course. Nobles, they're touchy like that.
And did you steal them?
Well, I didn't steal them. You see, I'd been paying these castless thugs to venture out into the deep roads for me. The lost tides. They're full of things that people left behind. Sometimes you can find a treasure. Something worth a little gold. The noblewoman, she wasn't too happy with the theft of her brother's braces. I don't know what they planned for me, and I didn't want to find out. Bribed the guard that was watching me and took off for the surface first opportunity I got. Never looked back.
And now, here you are.
You're quite welcome. Now, is there anything the boy or I can get you?
Let me see your wares.
I'm sure you'll be pleased with the goods my boy and I have collected, and with your discount.
And with my discount, yes. Let's see what they got. Bye. Trip trigger. Golden rope necklace. Grey Warden hand puppet. Stick. That loot. King Mears's Seas shield. Alistair. Wait, Alistair doll? This little doll fashioned from rags and stuck with pins is easily reminiscent of Alistair. It can be sold to merchants or given to oh? Inventory 4. Oh. I want that. Technically, I want all of this. Oof. A chastity belt? Now that I was not expecting. Cat lady's hobble stick? Okay. Butterfly sword. Ooh. Scented soap. The chant of light. Unable rage. Us ugly boots. Protective cone. Complete genealogy of the Pingus of Ferelden. That's rare. Rare Antivan Band. Amulet of Memories. Canary Prayers for the Dead. Pet Rock. Red Flask. I want to get the doll. So, yeah, I want to get the doll because I think I know who would like it the most. Done. Thank you.
Why are we stopping?
I think we should talk for a moment.
There are darkspawn to be fought. Is this delay needful?
I didn't know if I can trust you at my back. Are you alright? You were in that cage for a week.
You are concerned. No need. I am fit enough to fight.
I've never seen a Canary before. Tell me about your people.
No.
Why not?
People are not simple. They cannot be summarized for easy reference in the manner of, the elves are a lithe, pointy-eared people who excel at poverty. As you wish.
Okay, there's that. Let's talk to Alistair.
What do you need?
I'd like to ask you something.
Ask away.
What can a Templar do exactly? So, how did you become a Grey Ward? So you said Earl Eamon raised you.
Oh, did I say that? I meant that dogs raised me. Giant slobbering dogs from the Anderfells. A whole pack of them, in fact.
That's not what I remember you telling Fleming. That would explain the smell. Really? That must have been tough for them.
Well, they were flying dogs, you see. Surprisingly strict parents, too. And devout Andrastians to boot.
what they say about Anders.
That, and that they make a great deal of cheese. Funny, but the dogs never mention cheese. As a matter of fact, if you said cheese around them, they'd start growling. Isn't that odd? Or did I dream all of that? Funny the dreams you'll have when you sleep on a cold, hard ground, isn't it?
Is this going somewhere? I'm going to hit you very soon. Yeah.
Point taken. Let's see, how do I explain this? I'm a bastard. And before you make any smart comments, I mean the fatherless kind. My mother was a serving girl in Redcliffe Castle who died when I was very young. Arleman wasn't my father, but he took me in anyhow and put a roof over my head. He was good to me, and he didn't have to be. I respect the man, and I don't blame him anymore for sending me off to the Chantry once I was old enough.
Why did he send you off to the Chantry? He wasn't your father, so you know who is? But you blame him then, I take it.
I was young and resentful and not very pious. Of course I blamed him. I remember screaming at him like a little child. Well, I was a child, so I doubt he was surprised. Arleman eventually married a young woman from Orlais, which caused all sorts of problems between him and the king because it was so soon after the war. But he loved her. Anyhow, then you, Arlessa, resented the rumors which pegged me as his bastard. They weren't true, but of course they existed. The Arl didn't care, but she did. So off I was packed to the nearest monastery at age 10, just as well. The Arlessa made sure the castle wasn't a home to me by that point. She despised me.
You were probably luckier than most orphans. Wasn't it inappropriate for the Arl to raise an orphan? What an awful thing to do to a child. That sounds like a bunch of whining.
Maybe. She felt threatened by my presence, I can see that now. I can't say I blame her. She wondered if the rumors were true herself, I bet. I remember I had an amulet with Andraste's holy symbol on it. The only thing I had of my mother's. I was so furious at being sent away, I tore it off and threw it at the wall and it shattered. Stupid, stupid thing to do. The Arl came by the monastery a few times to see how I was, but I was stubborn. I hated it there, and blamed him for everything. And eventually, he just stopped coming.
Are you sure he isn't your father? You were young.
And raised by dogs. Or I may as well have been, the way I acted. But maybe all young bastards act like that. I don't know. All I know is that the Arl is a good man, and well loved by the people. He also was King Kaelin's uncle, so he has a personal motivation to see Loghain pay for what he did. Anyway, that's really all there is to the story.
Alright.
What do you need? Ask away.
Wait, can you, why have you remained a Templar if you hate the Chantry?
Have you seen the uniform? It's not only stylish, but well made. I'm a sucker for good tailoring.
Oh, I didn't think I've ever seen you wearing it. I thought Templars were heavy plate mostly. Not this again. You answer a simple question.
I keep it hidden under my pillow. Sometimes I'll take it out just so I can hug it fondly and remember the good old days. Brings a tear to the eyes, you know.
And what's the real reason?
You don't really want to know about my being a Templar, do you? It's really quite boring.
I do really want to know, yes.
Poke, poke, poke. Tell me everything about your life, Alistair. All right, if you insist. It's not like we have anything better to do, right? The truth of the matter is that I did hate going to the monastery. The initiates from poor families thought I put on airs, while the noble ones called me a bastard and ignored me. I felt like Al-Eamon had cast me off, unwanted, and I was determined to be bitter. But I took some solace in the training itself, I guess. I was actually quite good at it.
What did you enjoy about the training?
The education, mostly, but also the discipline. You need to have a disciplined mind in order to use the abilities we have. It was difficult, but rewarding. I never really felt at home anywhere, though, until I joined the Grey Wardens. And Duncan felt my Templar abilities might be useful for when we encountered Darkspawn magic, so I kept it up. What about you? Do you have anywhere you consider home?
The alienage in Denham. My family is there.
You must miss them a great deal. Duncan and the Grey Wardens are the closest I ever got to that kind of family. We won't always be traveling like this, you know. Once the war is over, once the Blight is... well, a time will come when we'll have to think about having a real home again. Though that seems like a far ways off. And I suppose the Grey Wardens are gone for good. Either way.
They can be rebuilt. You can always keep traveling. This is not the time to think about it.
I suppose you're right. We can create new Grey Wardens, but we'll never get back those we lost. I wonder if it would ever feel the same. Anyhow, now I've sidetracked us. We'd better get back to what we're supposed to be doing right now.
Thank you, Alistair. I think I'll poke at you a little bit later. Now you.
Yes?
I like to talk. I think you should go. Nothing, never mind.
Well, here I am.
This vision of yours. What was life like in the No. What would someone like you be doing in Lothering Chantry?
What is meant by someone like me?
You just don't seem to belong in a cloister. You know, a beautiful, charming woman like yourself. Sanctimonious, preachy like all other Chantry's zealots. They don't teach you how to fight in the cloister, do they?
Did you think I was always a cloistered sister? The Chantry provides succor and safe harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed.
What did you do before that? Affirmed. And why were you seeking safe harbor? So your skills were learned before your time in the Chantry.
The Chantry does not pride, and you should. I desired time apart from the world. I was a traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
I'll poke at her a little bit later. Till then, let's go to my favorite and the one that I want to woo.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something. I want to discuss something personal.
We're in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
Never mind.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
How did you become a shape changer? How did you grow up in the Kokori wilds? Have you ever been hunted by the Chantry? Is that really what she seems to be?
I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemeth's, taught over many years in the wilds. The chastened have tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our lair to be devoured. A most amusing legend.
Your mother has been doing this for a long time then. That doesn't sound like something you do. You'd do.
Oh? I truly doubt that children would be worth the effort. They are filthy, smelly things full of tears and snot and trouble. That said, I cannot speak for the tastes of my mother. She has, after all, lived a very lengthy time in the wilds and done many things I know nothing of. Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know?
Can you change into other humans' forms as well? Can anyone become a shape changer? Do you spend a lot of time as an animal? I've never heard of magic like that before.
No? 'Tis not unheard of in the remote corners of the world. There are traditions of magic outside of the circle of magi, despite what those mages would have you believe. Some of these traditions are old, indeed, passed down as carefully guarded lore from one generation to the next. The zealots of the Chantry would uproot all such practitioners if they could, but as luck have it, some still exist. My mother is such a one.
By practitioners, you mean apostates, don't you? The Chantry simply seeks to protect us from danger. Isn't that sort of magic open to abuse? That's good. Such traditions need to be preserved.
I am surprised you think so. Still, 'tis a pleasant thing to hear.
Can anyone become a shape? Can you change into other humans from forms as well?
The form of an animal is different from my own. One may study the creature, learn to move as it does, think as it does. In time, this allows one to become as it is. I gain nothing by studying another human. I already am the same as they are. I learn nothing. So the answer is no, my human form is the only one I possess.
Can anyone become a shapeshifter? Do you spend a lot of time as an animal?
There were nights when the wilds called to me, 'tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary.
And what do other animals think of you when you're changed?
They do not shy away from me. To their senses, I believe I seem like any other of their species. As to what they think, I truly cannot say. Just as I am still human, no matter my form, they are still animals. Thus they cannot speak, even were I to ask.
Anyone became a shape changer?
Anyone with sufficient will. But the act of transformation is a magical one. 'Tis a spell and thus requires a mage's talents. If you had a notion to learn such a skill for yourself, sadly, you must remain disappointed.
That's all I wanted to ask.
Indeed. Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural abomination to be put to the torch?
It does seem a little revolting. Maybe tied to a flagpole and tickled. That would just make you angry, I think. At the very least.
No doubt it would. But enough of such talk. Let us proceed, lest the dust gather on us. What do you wish of me? If you must.
Did you grow up in the...
Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I?
You can probe me anytime.
Beg pardon then, while I jump for joy. What is it you asked? If I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. In time I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness.
And you remained unnoticed? You kept going back to the wilds. I have a hard time picturing that.
Would you not do the same? Your world is an unforgiving and cold place. The wilds I hail from is home to me, and I a natural denizen. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for.
You must have looked quite the fool. Very daring. That sounds like you.
Equal parts daring and foolhardy, perhaps. Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be traveling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally, he was arrested.
That was quick thinking. What happened to the poor man? I'm supposed to be surprised you're a good liar?
Men are always willing to believe two things about a woman. One, that she is weak, and two, that she finds him attractive. I played the weakling and battered my eyelashes at the captain of the guard. Child's play. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting?
Like a handshake? Were you upset by all the bad touching?
To begin with, yes. What is the point of touching my hand? I find it an offensive intrusion. There were many nuances that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes. How to eat at a table. How to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again.
You can go back if you like. I guess the joke's on you then. Well, I'm glad it worked out with this, out this way, at least.
Yes? Let's ignore the entire Darkspawn threat and the presence of a simpleton as your only other Grey Warden ally, then. Not that I lack appreciation for the intent of your comment. Thank you. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes? Yes?
So, life in the wilds must have been very lonely. I'd like to discuss something personal.
At times, perhaps. A world full of people and buildings and things was all very foreign to me. If I wished companionship, I ran with the wolves and flew with the birds. If I spoke, 'twas to the trees.
And did they speak back? That seems normal to you. But eventually you left. Sounds wonderful.
Don't be foolish. I recall the first time I crept beyond the edge of the wilds. I did so in animal form, remaining in the shadows and watching these strange townsfolk from afar. I happened upon a noblewoman by her carriage, adorned in sparkling garments the likes of which I had never before seen. I was dazzled. This, to me, seemed what true wealth and beauty must be. I snuck up behind her and stole a hand mirror from the carriage. 'Twas encrusted in gold and crystalline gemstones, and I hugged it to my chest with delight as I sped back to the wilds.
Can't imagine Flemeth was pleased.
She was not. Flemeth was furious with me. I was a child and had not yet come into my full power, and I had risked discovery for the sake of a pretty bauble. To teach me a lesson, Flemeth took the mirror and smashed it upon the ground. I was heartbroken.
I have a hard time picturing you heartbroken. Almost with those rights, no doubt.
That is because I learned my lesson well. Beauty and love are fleeting and have no meaning. Survival has meaning. Power has meaning. Without those lessons, I would not be here today, as difficult as they might have been.
But you don't need to live that way any longer. They made you stronger, didn't they? Those who harsh lessons to teach a child. But you don't need to live that way any longer.
Do I not? I am still an apostate mage, even if I have left the wilds. The Darkspawn are yet undefeated. No, there is much that remains. To return to your original question, perhaps my time in the wilds was indeed lonely, but such was how it had to be. I find myself at times wondering what might have become of the girl with the beautiful golden mirror, but such fantasies have no place amidst reality. Yes?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
Have you ever been hunted by the Chantry?
You are very cute to ask so many questions.
I'm glad you think so. And you are cute when you're evasive. You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
Really? Perhaps we should be wrapped in ribbons and adorned with flowers. So cute are we, too. My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more.
You really had no trouble with them. I feel sorry for the Templars.
They came with as much swagger and arrogance as they did self-righteousness. Pity them if you wish, for they held none for us. Flemeth would warn them, once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait. A little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom.
Did you actually kill them all? Surely more would have followed.
'Twas a game, and I a young girl. If I didn't get to play, I would have been very upset. Thankfully, the Wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere, and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum.
What exactly is an apostate?
You do not know? The Zealots use that word for any magic they do not control. The Chantry sees any mages not leashed to the Circle of Magi as apostates, and apostates could become maleficarum, evil mages that resort to blood magic and become demon-enslaved abominations. It may even be true, still, those of us who prefer freedom see no reason to submit.
Have you no responsibility to those around you? If I were a mage, I might think the same. I agree completely.
Oh, I hope you are not simply being agreeable. It would be a refreshing change. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand. Yes? If you must.
Is Flemeth really what she seems to be?
Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
A powerful maleficar?
You mean, is she truly the Flemeth of legend and story? Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
I've heard a little of it. I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Ah, I see. That does explain much. I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire.
That sounds interesting. And the point would be...
As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful. A fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
Just how long ago is this?
Many centuries, before this land was even named Ferelden. The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the Bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord who looked on from afar. Lord Conabar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
He sold his wife to another man?
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conabar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge.
But wasn't she now married to the wealthier man? So she truly loved Osen then.
That was not the point. Conabar had no honor, so she would not have him. Flemeth begged the spirits to aid her, and 'twas they who slew Conabar. The demon the legend tells of came later. Lord Conobar's allies chased Flemeth, you see. Chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies.
But she never invaded. Or he never defeated her. Even my people have heard of Cormac.
The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
How is that Flemeth has survived for so long? Legend tells of Flemeth having many daughters. Aren't abominations usually insane horrors? An interesting story. Thank you. Do you believe her version?
I do not believe everything that Flemeth claims. Oft it seems her bitterness has coloured her memories. But on the whole, yes, I believe this tale, if not all. The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her.
The legend tells of Flemeth having many daughters.
You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too.
Why would she refuse to speak of them?
The Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well.
An interesting story. Thank you.
Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless.
My mother died when I was born. There's nothing really to say about her. I love her. What else do you want to know?
Ah, then you have my sympathies for what it is worth. Which is very little, I am certain. It matters not. Let us move on. Yes? If you must. I cannot teach you, no, but any other mages that cared to learn, yes, I could do that. Send whoever you wish my way, and I shall teach them what I can in the camp, provided they possess the will to even make the attempt. Yes? We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
Ooh, I can kiss her.
What's this? 'Tis a rather odd discussion you seem to desire, leaning in so closely.
Do you object?
Not unless you stop.
Well, there we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I think today's... That was my phone. Well, today has been an interesting day. And I think we've gone through everything that we can for our narratives. Well, not everything, but close enough. So without further ado, if you like what you see, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Tell me what I can do more to improve my channel. Or just send out a comment, something that you would love to see. Till next time, this is Danny the Cat, saying see ya.